And now to Yemen, where Saudi Arabia's fresh attacks on the country claimed the lives of several more civilians. Two people lost their lives in a missile attack on the border province of Sada. Four others died in airstrikes in the southwestern province of Hodeidah. Riyadh and its allies have been conducting massive air and ground operations in recent months to take control of Hodeidah. The province's capital, with the same name, is a strategic port through which the bulk of Yemen's imports come in. Many of the city's residents have been killed so far. The Saudi war on Yemen in general has killed nearly 15,000 people since it first began in March of 2015. Crossing over to Madison, Wisconsin, joined by Dr. Kevin Barrett, author and political commentator. Thanks so much for being with us. Well, you know, this war has been going on for years now, since March 30th, and it doesn't seem that any end is in sight, and it doesn't seem that the overall international community is concerned with it coming to an end. How do you see it, Kevin?
Well, there are different forces in the international community that are pursuing this war versus others who are increasingly considering turning against it. And here in the United States, we've seen a real debate actually starting in Congress. My own congressional representative, Mark Pocan, out of Madison, Wisconsin, co-sponsored a resolution last year that aims at forcing this war to a vote in Congress under the War Powers Authorization Act. And efforts along those lines are continuing in Congress. And of course, the Saudis and their Emirati partners in war crimes are getting concerned about this. So we recently had, for example, the spectacle of Trump having to certify the Saudis under another congressional bill passed this summer. They had to certify, essentially Congress has to certify that the Saudis are making every effort to reduce civilian casualties. And the Saudis, after they bombed that bus and murdered 50 plus children, their initial response to that was, this was justified, this is part of our war. And of course that was met with outrage in the international community. And so they were forced to change their tune, primarily not so much because of any moral considerations or concerns about other places, but here in the United States, where we are really running this war, if the United States said they had to stop, the Saudis would be forced to stop on a dime instantly. So Congress then was about to have to reauthorize this, and so the Saudis changed their tune. And then they said, yes, this murder of these children on the school bus was in fact not necessary, and so they sort of half apologized for it. And Congress, to its eternal discredit, went ahead and certified that the Saudis are supposedly trying to bring down civilian casualties. But this war has been a disaster for the people of Yemen. Not only do we have the maybe 15,000 people directly killed by bombs, mostly by Saudi and Emirati bombs, guided by the Americans and dropped from planes refueled by Americans, but we also have probably hundreds of thousands of people who've been killed indirectly. The most recent total by the human rights groups is that 50,000 plus children died last year due to the deprivation caused by this war. So this is a massacre, if not an outright genocide. But there may be limits to the international community's tolerance. In particular, Congress in the United States, which isn't friendly with Trump, may actually be moving towards restricting or stopping this war.
And what do you think? I mean, we're looking at the United States itself, and you've talked about the support basically that is given Saudi Arabia for this war, and it would stop, the war would stop if Washington stopped supporting this war. What is benefiting the United States from this war?
Nothing is benefiting the United States whatsoever. This war has nothing to do with any genuine national security concerns. It is purely about the desire of people in the military-industrial complex to make money It's about the desire of the Israeli lobby to force the United States into alignment with Saudi Israelia, the new merged entity, the Zionist Wahhabi entity, this crazy alliance between the psychotic, bloody dictatorship in Riyadh and the genocidal perpetrators of the Palestinian Holocaust over in Tel Aviv. Israel and Saudi Arabia together are trying to hijack the United States and make the United States carry out their policies in order to keep them propped up. I mean, these regimes are dinosaur regimes. We don't have any more situation, the Holocaust and anti-Semitism and all this sort of nonsense, these excuses for the Zionist genocide of Palestine. And we don't have a situation anymore where the Saudi Arabia can continue to claim that this dictatorship by a handful of bandits and Wahhabis can serve any purpose. People are educated now, and they demand some form of representation and human rights and so on. And so these two dinosaur regimes are trying to survive into the future and keep on plundering the region by hijacking United States foreign policy. The mass murders of September 11th, 2001 were, of course, a propaganda operation by these forces, especially the Israelis, to drag the U.S. into the Middle East in support of Israeli policies, and that process has continued. But there's no national security interest here for the United States, and hopefully Congress will see that and stop this war.
All right, thank you so much for being with us out of Madison, Wisconsin, Dr. Kevin Barrett, author and political commentator.